You're listening to Autumn on the Air, the weekly podcast that brings you conversations about the impact of research commercialization and the people who make it happen. Join us for interviews with patent and licensing professionals, innovators, entrepreneurs, and tech transfer leaders on the issues and trends that matter most. Keep listening for an inside track on the people, IP policies, and politics changing our world.
Welcome to Autumn on the Air. Today, we're delighted to welcome Millicent Pitts, the CEO and Executive Director of Ocean Exchange. Millie is a leader in the global blue economy and sustainability innovation space. Millie brings over a decade of experience at the helm of Ocean Exchange, a nonprofit that accelerates the adoption of solutions for healthy oceans, sustainable coastal systems, and decarbonized shipping. Before her work with Ocean Exchange, Millie spent 30 years as an executive in the chemical and materials industry, holding senior positions at BASF, Engelhard, Faro, and Arco Chemical. Millie has an MBA from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. She is also active as a mentor and judge in numerous cleantech and ocean innovation competitions, including with Creative Destruction Lab and NOAA's Blue Economy Subcommittee. Ocean Exchange is part of the new NOAA accelerator program, NOAA Ocean Enterprise. Their group is only one of 4 in the nation under this very well-funded program. Welcome to the podcast, Millie. So excited to have you here on the air.
Thank you for this opportunity. I've known Autumn for a number of years now, and this is just a real pleasure to talk to your members.
Well, we have a lot to talk about, Millie, so I thought we'd go ahead and get started. And I thought maybe before we start talking in detail about Ocean Exchange, we talk a little bit about, your career. You've had a remarkable journey to date. Your career has spanned industry and nonprofit leadership. Given all that, I'm curious what drew you to Ocean Exchange's mission and how have your experiences shaped your vision for the organization?
I did spend 3 decades in the chemical and materials industry. And some people find that a strange transition to what I do today. And it's not that strange. I really benefited from working from companies that took environmental responsibility quite seriously. We had product lines that we developed that were substitute for products that were maybe not so great for either human health or the health of the planet. I worked for companies that had great cultures of innovation. So this is not as big a leap as it might appear on the surface.
Yeah, I would imagine you get that question quite a bit, given your experience to date. And, Ocean Exchange has been around for a while now. It's 14 years and it has a global reach, which is absolutely incredible. How has the organization evolved since you've taken the helm? And tell us what you're most proud of.
Oh, gosh. It's evolved a lot on the one hand, but it stayed very, very true to its mission. And it's a message for people in industry, nonprofits, entrepreneurs to kind of think about that. So our mission has always been to help advance the adoption of innovative solutions for healthy oceans, resilient coastal systems. And we've stayed true to that. We've grown. We have more awards than we had when we started, and that's a very natural evolution. We were in Savannah, Georgia for the first half of our entity life, and we moved to South Florida. Florida is uniquely positioned, let's say, ground zero for some of the ocean and coastal topics that concern people. In fact, we think it can be a model for others to follow there. So we, some funny stories. In our first few years we started, we didn't tell our attendees who the finalists were. And that was, some of the early founders thought that was sort of a fun thing to do. As I moved into more leadership with Ocean Exchange after the first year or two, I said, we're trying to attract leaders from all over the world to come. And we think our marketing could be enhanced by letting them know who the finalists are and actually giving them some information. And it makes it more business friendly. The other thing that we did when we first started our gala was black tie. And we have business people coming, and let's say after they were going to come to Savannah, they were going to go have business meetings in Atlanta and then stop in Charlotte and, maybe go out to the West Coast, and hauling around black tie attire didn't seem that business friendly either. So, one of the things we did, and while it might be funny, I think it was important for our audience to make it very business friendly. More substantively, what we've done in the last 5 years, we have now a focus on what's called the blue economy. And a lot of people, or ocean economy, there's different terms for it. It's something that when we were legally founded 15 years ago, not too many people were using that terminology. In fact, it was really a pejorative. 15 years ago, people considered the blue economy of humans extracting things from the ocean, and in some cases, maybe harming the ocean. Think of overfishing, right, or illegal fishing, or an oil spill from an oil rig, right? These extractive industries. The more modern way of thinking about the blue economy is much broader, expansive, and it embodies the idea that humans can use the ocean, interact with the ocean, and not harm it, do it sustainably, and actually in some cases restore the ocean while they're using it. So the whole idea of the blue economy, we sort of brought into our thinking in 2020, I would say. I was invited to be on the NOAA Subcommittee for the blue economy, and around that time, people really started adopting a more modern view of the blue economy. So what are we proud of? Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about some of the startups, I think, later. But I'll give a number that we're particularly proud of. If we look at all of our finalists, not just the collegiate finalists, but all of the finalists that we've had, and in our 15-year legal existence, we've given the grants that we'll talk about for 13 years. We follow these finalists. So we're not just a contest and we say goodbye and good luck to you. We help them in a lot of other ways, but we also follow them. And the 13 years of granting, we've had about 170 finalists. After these finalists came through Ocean Exchange, they have raised $3.2 billion. Most of that is traditional investment. So I'll use some terminology that may not be familiar to everyone in your audience, but seed rounds in venture capital, A, B, and C rounds. That 93% of that $3.2 billion. The other 7% are other big grants. Could be big state grants like state of California, New York State, Massachusetts. There are states that have some very big grant programs. A lot of it is Department of Energy. They have huge grants. And although we're ocean related, of course, there's a lot of things that are ocean related energy that DOE has interest in, and a lot of big EU, European Union grants. So we're very proud of that. And while we are mission oriented about healthy oceans and sustainable blue economy and resilient ocean coastal systems, it takes a lot of money to do this. And so we're not just about raising the money. The money is a proxy to show the interest of investors and others in governments in these technologies, and that their business plans stand up well enough to raise this kind of money. Because if they're ultimately going to have impact, most of them have to have large amounts of capital and a very robust business plan. So I would say that's what I'm really proud of. And we'll talk about some of the individual examples, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get to some of those. And that certainly is a lot to be proud of. Congratulations. But Millie, I want to take a step back for a second. For our listeners who might be new to Ocean Exchange, can you talk a little bit about what sets your organization apart in research, commercialization, and tech transfer, especially in this whole blue economy?
I think several things, but when we were founded, we had a hypothesis that a lot of innovation was accomplished, but it was put on the shelf. And we were really one of the first ones out there outside of traditional conservation activities. And a lot of that did not have innovation. It was focused on advocacy. And the innovation that was going to defense and to offshore oil and gas. So what we did 15 years ago, we said, there is an awful lot of innovation from a lot of your members and others. And it's put on the shelf, and then that innovator perhaps is curious about entrepreneurship, but unsure, or isn't interested at all, right? They picked a path early in their life that they want to do research and development, but not necessarily want to be an entrepreneur. And that's quite common, honestly. And so this private and public money in the developed world primarily is being sub-optimized. And so we had this vision to go find these folks, shine a bright light on them, understand the amazing work that a lot of your members and others have done, and try to figure out how it can be implemented and have the impact that it can have. Not just investment impact, I'm talking about societal impact. So one of the things that distinguishes us is that we were very early in this. And if you were to talk to our peers, many of them say that Ocean Exchange really was the first one to do this, again, outside of supporting defense and offshore oil and gas. So that kind of makes us unique. We were there, and we've helped others get into the space, right? We have not seen them as competitors. What we have felt from the beginning is that if we had more peers, there would be more help, the pie would get bigger, more investment would flow in, more innovation would be implemented for impact. And I really think that's happened. We know we have a lot of peers. One of the things that distinguishes us is that we don't exist to create jobs in any given county or state or region or area of the world. And some of our peers do, and that's great for their states or their regions. We say that when these innovations are implemented, jobs will be created at all strata. This isn't just about more PhD jobs, right? It's about this whole transition that's occurring. So these are good lower skill jobs, medium skill, high skill jobs. The highest skill jobs will be created. We say that lives will be uplifted wherever these are implemented, because if you have healthy oceans and resilient coastal systems, lives are better, right? So that's good for society. And we also then say, back to our core mission, that this ocean and coastal environment will be improved. So we were very early on. We do it without consideration of political borders or, traditional borders. And that's part of what sets us apart.
So you've alluded to the vast network of experts, innovators, and stakeholders across academia, industry, and government that Ocean Exchange has built. Tell us a little bit about how this ecosystem supports the award applicants and winners beyond the funding itself.
Yes. I encourage all listeners to go to oceanexchange.org. And I don't get paid by the click, by the way. So, and go under, it says about us or who we are. And you will see it's today listed the 2024 solution review team. And we will update that for 2025. But you're going to see about 70 subject matter experts of all types of expertise, finance, life science, all areas of engineering, You'll see investors, IP experts, a lot of types of experts that are going to be interesting to your audience. They are the ones that actually review the applications and down select to our finalists. But that's just a slice of who we interact with. It goes well beyond the 70, but I'll focus on the 70. They volunteer their time to review applications. They're on a platform that's in the cloud. They review them based on three elements. One is impact. We're looking for scalable solutions, not your local, strictly community-based work, which we appreciate as citizens, but that's outside of Ocean Exchange. So it's impact. And the second one is level of innovation. And I think your audience would debate with each other about what that is. It's more than just their IP portfolio and their patents and know-how. It is how is that solution effective, both in cost and the efficacy of what kind of claims they're making they can do, right? Reducing pollution, clean up oil, stop illegal fishing, whatever it is they're claiming. We want it to be highly effective and be done in a cost-effective way. And if it is, it has a higher probability of attracting the capital it needs. We started off talking about capital, the talent, and the partnership it needs. So that level of innovation is sort of a proxy for all of that thinking. And then the third element is their ability to execute. And that's the team itself. Are they selling a product or a service? What business model do they have? And the startups often pivot and their business model changes, and we know that. And this is a whole process of trying to figure all that out, right? So these experts give us about $250,000 of in-kind expertise. If it's kind of hard to know. We put a per hour rate. It's a guess, but it's a whole lot of money, and they do all this work within sort of a 4 to 6 week period. And that includes a couple of big phone consultations where we select the finalists. So this is part of our vast network. Many of these people want to be on our review team. Frankly, having 70 people on our review team, we're oversubscribed. I can't say
That's
no.
a lot of people to have to navigate opinions from.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that must be a challenge at times to rein all that in.
It's quite a challenge, but it's evidence of their enthusiasm. Why do they want to do it? Some really feel a societal obligation to help us and to help the startups, testimony to these individuals. Some, and it's okay if they have their own objectives. Some want to see the deal flow. We have one fellow who's very loyal on our team, and he says, I'm even interested in the ones that are rejected, because sometimes they're rejected, they're a little bit too early, but I am seeing something that's just over the horizon that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. In the case of that example, this person advises some investors. These investors may have big positions, investments in companies that could be partners with some of these coming on, or might be threatened by some of these coming on, right? It might be a competing technology. So we nurture this group over all these years. Some of them have become, quite personal friends. Many of them, not all, attend our event. We have an annual event in Fort Lauderdale where our finalists pitch. But people vie to be on our review team. And what they are benefiting from in these phone calls are reading the files and seeing other people's comments. They're learning. So we attract smart, curious people. We need people with the underlying expertise to understand the technologies and the markets. We do have some generalists as well, and we welcome having that, because sometimes the generalist has the oddest question, but it reveals something that the expert maybe takes for granted, and then it causes an exploration of that idea that might not have been explored. So we have that group. We have them and others that come to our event and actually interact with these startups in person. Some of them become advisors. Some are end up investing in them. We frequently get questions from this group. What happened to that finalist back in 2018? They might not even remember the company name, but they'll remember the topic, the stopping illegal unregulated fishing or something like that. And then we cultivate a whole other group of experts because I am involved through the generosity of the philanthropy that we take in. So we're more than a contest. I'm an associate with Creative Destruction Labs up in Atlantic, Canada, and I mentor startups in that network. And then that sort of amplifies my access to other peers, at Creative Destruction Labs. I'll just use that one as an example. So we amplify by using other people's processes, just like they amplify what they're doing coming into our process.
Wow, it's all really impressive, Millie. And, one of the reasons why we really wanted to have you on is to spotlight the funding opportunities that Ocean Exchange provides, which we've just barely touched on so far. And, this is really important right now because government support for early stage innovation is facing really significant cutbacks. That's something we're all very well aware of right now. Can you walk us through the main $100,000 Neptune Awards and tell us, who should apply and the kinds of solutions you're looking for?
Yep. So this is how it works. If I sit next to someone on an airplane, this is what I tell them. We take in philanthropy from families and corporates. We go through that process I described with these subject matter experts. We down select to 15 finalists for these $100,000 awards. On any given year, the number of the $100,000 awards may vary. We started off with 1. We've had as many as 3. We aspire to have 4. This year we'll have at least 2, but we might have as many as 4. The Neptune Award is anything about oceans and coastal systems. We don't care. We're agnostic about the form of solution. We use the word solution in a very purposeful way, thinking about how we're using this innovation that's proposed by the applicant, right? And almost all of them have a deep science or engineering underpinning to them. They may have huge social impact, but the impact is really powered by some science or engineering innovation, something that would be very important, I think, to your audience. So we evaluate them and then we redistribute that as philanthropy back. So it's non-dilutive funds. If that's not a familiar term, it means that we don't take equity. So we take in philanthropy, we redistribute it as philanthropy. The process is open right now. We use a platform, F like Francis, the number 6, S like success.com. Some people call it LinkedIn for startups. And if you are an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur wannabe listening, or you're working with this pool of people, one can create a public profile on F Success, just like you would on LinkedIn. And our application is a private backend on that. It is a very standard application. It is not, it's not exotic. But what we have found over the years for those that are new entrepreneurs, some of the questions may be more challenging. And if you're inside a university, reach out. There's all kinds of help in a lot of universities. They have incubators, they have business schools that, you might link up with an MBA student or an undergrad business student to help you with that application. But if you're going to go forward, you got to get used to answering these kind of questions, right? As I said, they're not exotic and they're very common questions about the markets and the business plan and how you're going to go to market and who your potential customers would be. And we fully understand that some of this changes over time. What you put in your application today may not be how you advance and what you're doing 3 years from now. We get all that, right? We want to know the quality of the thinking in your head today about this. We're not going to go back and audit that. So that this application is online, very standard. If you're more experienced applying for grants or other entrepreneurship, some of this may be just a cut and paste for you. So the $100,000 is provided by this philanthropy that we take in. When we down select to 15 finalists, and again, that's done by impact, innovation, and the ability to execute. We invite those 15 finalists, wherever they are in the world, to come to our annual event in Fort Lauderdale. We pay one round-trip coach ticket, 4 nights in a hotel, again, from philanthropy that we've taken in. We make this very, very easy. We have a partner that once we've selected the finalists, they do some pitch mentoring in that month preceding the event. That's done by a group out in Los Angeles called Braid Theory. You could look them up. They're a vertically integrated consultancy for startups. Their founder and CEO, Ann Carpenter, is one of our board members. So that she and a team help get these startups ready. I can tell you, over all these years, we've seen people who were very slick, very experienced pitching on stage, and we have seen people who have revealed to us it was their first time pitching, and their knees were weak on stage. And some of them, I'm going to promise you, have actually won $100,000 from us.
That's great.
And they have told us that this was a life-changing experience. Now, maybe they were very experienced presenting in front of their classmates and faculty, but standing in front of some kind of world-type business leaders was, a big deal. And it should be a big deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I always say you got to have that first time, right? If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to get used to pitching. You got to be used to talking to people. The other thing that I'll say that's, it's funny, but not funny at the same time. A lot of technologists have a hard time adjusting to a business pitch, right? And that early mentoring that we give before our events, very impactful. So it's not just about your style, it's about the substance of how you're going to talk to investors, business leaders, and a general business audience about what you're doing, because they don't need to know every detail of the technology. They want to know how you can be successful. Again, impact, level of innovation, and the ability to execute. So you can apply now, and oceanexchange.org. Susan Zellers is my program director, and she will help you. And anyone will give an email at the end, right, Lisa?
Yes.
Anyone can email me, and we'll put you in touch with Susan. And we cannot individually coach everyone's application for these Neptune Awards. We get about 150 to 200 of them, but we can at least help you kind of get started in the process.
Now, I also know in 2025, you're offering 3 collegiate awards, including the Guy Harvey Collegiate Award. What opportunities exist for university innovators, and how can tech transfer offices leverage these programs to help support their undergraduate and graduate students?
Yeah, great question. So we really need the help of these tech transfer offices. What we found, and we didn't have the Collegiate Award right from the beginning. I think we started it in 2015. It's very difficult for us to reach undergraduates. And collegiate university sustainability clubs, honestly, are not a path to it. The sustainability clubs are working on improving recycling, at the university, putting more recycling bins in, or helping plant more, get rid of concrete and have more green space, that sort of thing. So we need the tech transfer offices. They know who these students are, especially at the undergraduate level. I'll talk at the graduate level it's a little different. They know who they are often. They know the ones who are interested in entrepreneurship. We are not looking for students who just did a report to get that final grade in a class and, the report gets filed away. We're looking for those that really aspire to entrepreneurship and they're working on something that they think could become a startup. In many cases, they've created their startup. And we have a lot of fun stories about this. One, when we started this, I thought, well, it'll be a group of students who took, material science class together and had an idea about some non-fossil fuel biomaterial, a plastic substitute. And they have this idea that they want to develop this and so forth. And we see some of those. We had one fantastic finalist. The technology came out of the University of Houston, so there was a student there, and they had a license to try to commercialize this, but the student had worked on it. He did not have all the skill sets. He recruited a Rice University student that had a different set of skill sets than he had. And they even had a student from Baylor College of Medicine who was part of this team. So this student had the vision and the foresight to go out and form this company and grab the best talent that he needed, irregardless of what university they were in. So we have all kind of fun stories about that. So we see many multi-university teams that put themselves together. It isn't the school that's done it. But the tech transfer offices know these folks. On the graduate side, especially PhD candidates, we do a lot of mining. We go into university websites, a lot of these important labs, and the university students, the PhD students, can see, they can write, what they're working on. And some of it doesn't appear to have a lot of commercial value, but some does. One can imagine that they're working on something that they might want to commercialize. And we have a better chance of directly connecting them through that lab. And often the university website has these PhD candidates' email addresses directly, and we go through them. But even with that, the tech transfer offices often know who these students are, and we need your help, honestly. $10,000, it's essentially a scholarship, at the collegiate award level. We don't ask them to account how they spend it after the fact. We do that for the $100,000 awards, but not the collegiate awards. But we've had quite a number of those that we encountered as students who later graduated and were working on their work, and they came back and applied for $100,000 awards. And some of them have won $100,000 from us after we met them as students.
Millie, I wanted to ask you about the ability to apply to one or more of the NOAA accelerators. I understand that this is a separate opportunity from the Ocean Exchange Award application. Talk to us about the continuum and how this opportunity impacts students and faculty.
Yes. So in the summer of 2023, NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Association, they're part of the Department of Commerce, if that's not familiar to you, announced an accelerator program. And initially, if you Google it and look at some of the legacy press releases, you'll see it called the NOAA Ocean Climate Resilience Accelerator, OCRA. They have now folded it in and rebranded it under some other programs going on. It's now called the NOAA Ocean Enterprise Accelerator, but it's the same program. There are 4 of us in the nation that were granted the phase 2. And I also think in this audience, some of this U.S. grant lingo will be more familiar than for others. So we were phase 1 grantees, and it was closed. Phase 1 allowed us to apply for the phase 2. So there are 4 of us. The continuum is one of those 4. We are a group of 7 entities. So it's Ocean Exchange, Seaworthy Collective, which is in Miami, Braid Theory, I mentioned them already. They're on the West Coast, and they're actually located in the port of Los Angeles. The World Ocean Council, that's a membership-based organization that has a lot of big strategic members that would be perhaps interesting customers going forward. Also, University of South Florida, and I know they're a member, so I'm going to give a shout out to them. And Tampa Bay Wave, which is an accelerator in the Tampa Bay area, and St. Pete Innovation District. So there's 7 in our group, the Continuum. We put forward to NOAA a national model, and the Continuum, the name means something. It means that no matter what stage you are, you can be a very early TRL level. You can be TRL 9 ready to go. You just need help with that final step of commercialization. We have programs no matter where you are. Maybe generalizing, but maybe most students and faculty might be at the lower TRL levels. But that's not necessarily true. Maybe more true of students. So we have 3 accelerators in the continuum. And when one applies for this help, we have a party that sort of directs them to the right program to meet their needs based on both their TRL level, technology readiness level, that 1 through 9 scale, and their business readiness, and their knowledge and understanding of ocean and coastal use cases. And one of the key messages, and one of the reasons I'm so interested in this podcast, we want to reach more at the university student and faculty level that have innovations, and maybe they haven't really thought enough about the ocean use cases. But after hearing this, they may say, yeah, my first thinking was about something that was terrestrial, but it may have an ocean use case. And built into our program, we call it Blue Tech 101 or some name like that. It is to take those people who are curious about ocean use cases for their innovation and to help them understand more about the blue economy and the possibilities there, which in some areas are enormous. The NOAA economists think the blue economy is going to grow faster than the economy at large. And so we want to attract those innovators into the blue tech space who hadn't thought about it. So the continuum, wherever you are in that scale of technology and business readiness and blue tech sort of awareness, we have something for you. And so this is another reason we want you to contact us. Now, let me tell you about the Ocean Enterprise per se. It's pretty broad, anything about the ocean, frankly, but the NOAA grant itself, and we're getting $14 million over 4 years. I'll come back to some things about the numbers. It isn't about the thing. It's about the data, the observations, and the data analysis about the thing, right? So let's talk about illegal fishing. You know, it's a big topic around the world. So it isn't about some fancy crab pot hardware that's somehow going to tell you if the fishing is illegal, if you're an enforcement agency. It's about the actual observations and the data and the analysis that's going to tell them this boat is a known bad actor and we're going to go after that. So it's not about the hardware, it's about the data, the analysis, and so forth. If you're interested in offshore wind, for example, it's not about a new composite material for better blades. It's about the data that would tell an operator where to site the wind farm, how to do the baseline, the observations to do the baseline biodiversity measurements, and the ongoing management of biodiversity around that wind field. So I talk to a lot of people at universities who say to me, "Oh, we don't have a marine science program. We don't have an oceanography program." And I say, "Great. How about your IT program, your computer science program? How about all those data scientists? How about digital twins that are going to help manage the ocean better? How about parties that are working on, acoustic measurements for that could be used for managing biodiversity in the ocean?" So the Ocean Enterprise Accelerator is, again, it's not about the thing, it's about the observations, the data gathering, the data analysis, the measurements that are going to allow for better management of the ocean and the coastal systems. So let me come back to the grant. I said our group, and each group is getting about $14 million over 4 years. Here's what's in it for you. I think it's brilliant on NOAA's part, the way they structured it. 40% of that grant must flow through us to parties like you. We have an obligation. So 60% is for that programming. I talked about accelerators, how we're going to help you, Blue Tech 101. 40% will go through us through something called TDC Awards, Technology Development and Commercialization Awards. One of my roles in the continuum is to manage those awards. They'll be given out as grants. What could they be done if you have a particular pilot? You want to go out and collect data in the Great Lakes, and it's going to be used for some kind of better management of shipping lanes or whatever it could be, right? Or ocean data. And I did want to mention the Great Lakes because NOAA considers them part of the ocean system. These awards, we haven't given them yet because we just started this grant at the beginning of this year. But these awards could range anywhere from $10,000 to $200,000. If you're going to actually be going in the water to collect data and you need access to research vessels, and that, it's going to be probably bigger awards than if you're using existing data sets and you're going to do some fancy analysis. You probably need less money. So it's hard for me to generalize, but I'll give you that range of probably 10 to 200,000. And here's another catch, not a bad thing. You have to have completed one of the accelerator programs to do it.
That's definitely not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. So you have to apply. You have to be accepted in one of these accelerators. We have 3. The other 3 groups, right? We're one of 4 groups. They have their own accelerators. You have to complete that. You have to separately apply for the TDC award. You have to say how you're going to use the money. There has to be a line item budget, some accountability. Depending on the size of the award, there may be some interim milestones, things that I think a lot of your audience would be familiar with other kind of government grant giving. But it means that we have to give away $1.4 million every year.
That's really great right now. I'm glad you have those funds to be able to give away, especially in this current climate.
Yep.
So Millie, as Ocean Exchange grows, what are your goals for the next few years, and how can tech transfer offices and research institutions get more involved?
Oh, all sorts of ways. So our goals, we want at least 4 $100,000 non-dilutive grants, and we think that is achievable. We may end up doing some regional playoffs. We're almost at our capacity to process 150 to 200 applications. We're doing a regional call for solutions this year to sort of break it up. That might be step one. If we raise the money, we might have regional playoffs where one could win, I don't know, let's just say 25,000, and that would qualify you to be a finalist for the 100,000. So, that's a path that's in front of us. We are merging with the Marine Technology Society as of Friday, and so that's going to give us a bigger platform to be part of, and that's only good for the parties, the tech transfer, VPs and managers. And MTS has its tentacles into a lot of universities, and I think there's a lot of overlap in some of the university membership with MTS. And with our collegiate awards, we have 3 this year. We could probably grow that. It is not the main part of our program. We use our Sunday for that, and Monday and Tuesday for our larger awards. But we could probably accommodate a process that might allow us to have as many as 4 collegiate awards. So what do I want from the tech transfer managers and executives? I really want them to engage with us. Maybe you want to be one of these experts on our review team. If you feel that at the university, the blue economy use cases are underrepresented and there's more opportunities to push technology out there, talk to us, work with us, engage with us, be on our review team, come to our event, push entrepreneurs toward us. Over the years, we've had some that the entrepreneurs were kind of reluctant. Their advisors were not blue tech savvy, so therefore they did not have that point of view. And we had to kind of pull them into us a little bit, kicking and screaming, actually, to say, listen, there are great opportunities for what you're working on in the blue tech space. And even if you're not comfortable with that, because that just wasn't your background, we can help you through that. So we could use that help from the tech transfer people to become advocates, evangelists for opportunities in blue tech.
So, Millie, as the podcast comes to a close, for anyone who's listening to this podcast that's interested in applying, can you remind us of the key deadlines and requirements for the 2025 award cycle?
Yes. So our deadline for the Americas, so Asia and European deadlines have passed for those members outside the U.S. for the $100,000 grants. The collegiate grants, the deadline isn't until September. So there's plenty of time. Go to oceanexchange.org for all of those details. For the $100,000 award, go to oceanexchange.org. But there is time. There's plenty of time if you're in the Americas to apply. If you're new to this, I would say don't wait till the last minute then. If you have not done things that have an entrepreneurship twist, go on the website, follow the link to F Success, take a look at the application. It's like a math problem, right? Read the whole thing first before you start on it, and then write down the unknowns and go seek the help of the people that you need to do this. And if you can't find that help inside your university, call us. There are others in the community, depending on what community you're in. Sometimes there are different kinds of, let's call them incubators, that might give you help. We might find a mentor, to walk you through the application as well. Don't not do it just because the list of unknowns are daunting to you.
Well, Millie, this has been fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to share with us everything about Ocean Exchange and the amazing funding opportunities available for all types of innovations in the blue economy. It's been a real pleasure having this opportunity to spend some time with you.
And thank you. And Millicent, MILLICENT Pitts, P like Peter, ITTS, at oceanexchange.org. I'm even going to give you my cell phone number because it's out there anyway. I respond to texts very easily. 912-257-0209. We'll get you started. We'll hook you up with Susan Zellers, who's my program director. She can help you. Look for us on f6s.com too.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Millie. It's been a real pleasure having you on the air. Millie, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights on Ocean Exchange's critical role in advancing ocean health and sustainability innovation. Ocean Exchange offers a unique and highly impactful funding opportunity for our listeners, whether you're a tech transfer professional, university innovator, or entrepreneur, especially in today's challenging funding landscape. Be sure to check out their website for more details on how to apply, and don't miss the upcoming deadlines for the 2025 award cycle. Thanks for tuning in to Autumn on the Air, where we bring you the people and programs shaping the future of research commercialization.
Thanks for listening to Autumn on the Air with Lisa Mueller. Get social with us and share your thoughts. You can tweet us at AUTM or visit us online at autm.net. We'll be back next week on the air. Be sure to join us.